We've all seen YouTubers perform death-defying stunts, but today I'm going to be attempting something even more dangerous. Making a video about Drew Afualo. If you don't know Drew, she's a popular creator that makes a lot of videos shitting on misogynists and attacking them in the way that they normally attack women.
You've got dark circles under your eyes, and you've got the Harry Styles hairline, and we all know he's bald.
And usually any criticism she receives is from the misogynists that she's attacking. But their galaxy brain critiques usually just begin and end by attacking her appearance. Please be quiet. Which she then uses as an opportunity to shit on their appearances way harder and more eloquently. And that's how it's been for a long time now. Her, the good person, shitting on them, the bad people. And people have viewed it as pretty black and white. But recently, a creator on TikTok named Bella Delgado, who doesn't really fit into the stereotype of the people who usually criticize her, Bella made a video basically saying that Drew is annoying and lies about the intention behind the videos she makes. They had a back and forth argument, so I'm gonna take us through it and give you the most perfect opinion of all time ever. Let's start with Bella's video.
Here's what I will say about Drew. I get the point of her content, especially like on paper. Like we take these abhorrently misogynistic men who are saying these really terrible things about women's appearances, and we give them a taste of their own medicine and insult their own flaws by their own rulebook. And that is the one defense you will see of her content, that it is 100% reactionary, that she is being provoked into saying things about these men's appearances, that she doesn't actually mean it. However, the problem that I personally have with that is that it's just simply not true. I mean, look at this video.
My theory has been and always will be that misogynists are either bald, balding, short, or all three.
So right off the bat, I feel like he made a pretty good point. Everybody acts like Drew is just purely reactionary, but right here, she's using shortness and baldness as a concept to insult misogynists. So yeah, genuinely good dudes who are short and or bald might see that and feel hurt, because she's making the point that those qualities are ugly, even if the intent is to just target misogynists. Also, literally not really that big of a deal, and I don't really care, and let's keep going.
In that video, for example, she's not stitching anybody, she's not responding to anybody directly, she just quite simply was sitting in her car rambling and said that all misogynistic men are bald and short. This wasn't provoked, this wasn't directed at one person, she just actively made the decision to insult the entire demographic of bald short men and box them all in as being misogynists.
I disagree with that reasoning though. She's not saying all bald or short men are misogynists, she's saying all misogynists are bald or short men, which is also not true, but Bella talks about that in a second.
Not sure why she hates short men in particular so much. I don't know if she had like a bad experience with the Seven Dwarves or something.
Boom, roasted, got her.
Obviously, the main problem with this sentiment is that it's not true. As a matter of fact, I think most of the most misogynistic men I've met in my entire life fit into the standards of conventional beauty.
Okay, but this is a point that I definitely do agree with. There has to be more to the equation than just attractiveness, because being hot doesn't make you not a misogynist automatically. But Drew will address that later, and I think she makes a good point. So back to Bella's video.
She also carries this sentiment that all misogynistic men don't get laid, which once again is just not true. In fact, misogynistic men usually will get laid more. They're more manipulative. They're more conniving about it. In fact, Republican men have statistically more sex than Democratic men.
That's valid, but I think it's also ignoring the large portion of incel misogynists that I think Drew is more directly attacking in her videos. But yeah, I see his point. I mean, I'm basically a communist, and I'm saving myself for marriage. Or until a woman wants to kiss me.
But I think my main qualm with her content is just when she decides to make fun of children's looks, that's a bit far for me. Like this group of kids here who look like 14 to 17 years old, after roasting all of them individually, she calls them unathletic little bitches. Like, I'm sorry, I personally don't think we should be looking at, like, children and examining their bodies.
Okay, we're gonna dig a lot deeper into this point with her response, but right now I just want to say that I see the point Bella is making. However, I personally think that that is such a bad faith way to frame that argument. Examining children's bodies, that's like a really not charitable interpretation of what she said. Now, Bella has since deleted this video, and the only copy I could find is one that Drew tweeted out herself to respond to. But she did also crop out the ending where Bella brings up tweets Drew made when she was 16 freely using the F slur. So I feel like it's fair to talk about it. Bella's point was that if Drew was 16 when she said that, and she can change, she should also allow other 16-year-olds that same grace. So that's the first one. Now let's watch Drew's response video.
The overarching theme to critiques like this as a whole is just that they don't like how I choose to fight bigotry or misogyny as a whole. They would prefer if I did it a different way. I've already addressed why that's an entitlement and how that's rooted in white supremacy.
Holy shit. Okay. That escalated insanely fast. I wasn't expecting to hear about white supremacy so early in this conversation, but I'm assuming that she has a really good reason to bring this up, so let's hear her out.
But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this critique almost primarily comes from the lens of a white person. And every time I say that, terrible men are like, why do you always have to fucking bring up race? Because it plays a huge role, and you're ignorant if you don't think so. I will give you a prime example. About a year ago, I had a white woman steal my bit. She literally was stealing my jokes verbatim. She was copying my mannerisms, my laugh, literally everything. She took my personality and put it on her face like a mask, and then was stitching white men. When I first saw her content, obviously it rubbed me the wrong way. But the part that really stuck with me was the fact that the men she was stitching were in her comments, cheering her on, giving her kudos, telling her tough but fair, listen, you got me. She said the exact same things that I said, verbatim. They just came out of a different face. These men were wildly more receptive towards her. I wonder why that is.
I mean, that was incredibly well put, very clearly articulated, and it makes a lot of sense. Especially, like, I've actually seen this. When it's Drew, they insult her appearance. But if it's a white woman, especially a conventionally attractive one, they respond more positively, like, oh, shucks, you got me there. Oh, yeah, I am a little ugly. So, yeah, I totally see how fitting into white beauty standards can protect other women from doing the exact same thing that Drew does. And those other women aren't receiving the same level of criticism for doing the exact same thing that Drew does. But also, by the way, can we stop acting like Drew Afualo isn't beautiful? I know that's not the point of any of this, and I don't want to get into it, but she's genuinely like a very pretty person. Not the point of any of this, and we're gonna move right on. Lizzie might be dead, but my queen's still living. Okay, let's keep watching.
Next, the whole talking point of making fun of minors. Believe it or not, I'm not actively seeking them out on this app, unlike some of the men that I've stitched. The first was a group of men being outwardly bigoted towards one of my creator friends on this app. They were overrunning his account, so I stepped in. They were also all over the age of 18. You know how I know? Because I'm the one who fucking made the video.
Boom roasted, got him. That is very, very valid. Also, I'm now realizing I don't think that she addressed the point where it's like men who fit into the beauty standard are excused from her criticism in this. So I'll just put in my own input from what I've seen from her. It's not like she only insults ugly people. I've seen her insult, people who fit into conventional beauty standards that are misogynists, and she just attacks them for their character and finds like little things about their appearance to insult. So I think that saying that she only attacks ugly people is not true. But yeah, I thought that she was gonna address that in her video, but it looks like she didn't. Maybe she doesn't even need to. Okay, so now that we have talked about both of their videos, here's my perfect opinion. Yes, Drew attacks misogynistic men with the same insulting and mean tactics that they use. Sometimes she insults specific qualities that apply to men that aren't misogynists, but don't apply to people who are misogynists. And yes, 10 years ago, she said the F slur. She was not always the ally that she currently is. But when she insults young misogynists, she's attacking them for their current actions and making the point that it's not okay to talk about women the way that they are. She's not going to men's pages who are supportive of women's rights and attacking them for things they said 10 years ago. She changed. The men that she's attacking have not. And no, she might not be making her videos in a way that it's easy for the target to swallow. But why should she? You can look at her videos with a preconception that she's being mean and come away with plenty of evidence to justify that. But since when is being mean to douchebags a bad thing? I think that regardless of a couple of misses here and there that don't perfectly dismantle misogyny in a 15-second TikTok, she's not doing more harm than good by any means at all. Her videos are to help make sure that the internet is not always a safe place for misogynists to spread their beliefs. And if that means that she has to be a mean person, who cares? Women don't have to be nice to be right. And plus, she's friends with Brittany Broski, and any friend of Brittany's is a friend of mine.
That sounded like Brittany and I are best friends in real life. I don't know Brittany, but I trust her judgment more than my own.
So I think while Bella did bring up interesting points to consider and think about in the context of the ethics of the types of videos that Drew makes, I think that Drew's response was a very, very well put rebuttal. But bitch, I think I might have